Welcome back to the Vertu YouTube channel. Now, any self-respecting car channel needs to review a Ford Fiesta, and that's exactly what we're doing. Now, we know the Ford Fiesta isn't being made anymore, but Vertu have you covered when it comes to used cars. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to see if the Ford Fiesta is still at the forefront of all those super minis out there. Let's talk about the design before we jump in and drive it, because let's face it, when it comes to a Fiesta, the driving is where it shows off, and we'll see if it can compare to that Corsa that we did a few weeks ago. Right, okay, simplicity is key when it comes to the design of the Fiesta. I really like the nice big lights. We've got a bit of a grille here on the Titanium X. However, let's cut to some shots of the ST line, because if you want something that turns heads, you have to go ST line, I think, when it comes to that. That's got the aggressive grille, bigger lights and all that sort of stuff, and it just looks like a more aggressive front end. Titanium X model is going to be more, how do I put it, simple, vanilla, but I quite like vanilla. I like vanilla ice cream, nothing wrong with it. Let's go around to the back. Before talking about the back, let's talk about the wheels. You are going to have to go ST line if you want something a little bit more funky. 17s on this though, and they go from 15 up to 17 depending on trim level. When talking about the back of this as well, it's very simple, much like the front, very functional design. Is it going to last the test of time? These used models of Fiesta, when we're talking about the Toyota Yaris and the Vauxhall Corsa, that have adjusted their designs to look a little bit more electric and a little bit more modern. Cars move on very, very quick nowadays, but I think it looks functional. And we got things like EcoBoost Hybrid winking at us. Now, it's not an actual hybrid, it's a mild hybrid, and I'll go on to that when we drive as well. The boot. Let's talk about the boot, because this is going to be potentially a family car for many people's first cars as well. Maybe that second little run around, but also a family car option. Boot space. It's not a leader in the market. It's around about sort of 315 litres of boot space, and you do have a big load lip here. There's no false floor. This is the Titanium X as well, so you'd think it would have a little bit more going for it, but it does not. It's just the standard boot, but plenty enough room, I think, for your big shop down at Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Waitrose maybe. Who knows? It's pretty standard, pretty simple. There's not any thrills or spills. I can't see any charging points, etc. And you can let the seats down from the back here at a push of a button with a 60-40 split. Look, I'm not going to go on about the boot like I do others, because it's pretty functional. Not the worst, not the best in terms of space. Right, eager to get on the inside, is because this is where the trim level is going to do the talking. Right. You start off with style, which doesn't offer you a great deal. It's going to be pretty simple on the inside design, very similar to this in here, but it's not going to offer you much in terms of mod cons. Then you go to Z-Tech, gives you a little bit more. This is Titanium X, which is going to be my personal favourite, and then you've got the Vignale, or Vignale. How do I say that word? You know what I mean though when I say it. That's going to have all the bells and whistles, and it's going to cost you a little bit more money. I would opt for the Titanium X because you get lots of things on here. You've got heated seats on here, you get heated steering wheel, you get this nice half Alcantara and leather interior, and the seats are really comfortable. And it's got a very nice digital driver display, actually just as big as the infotainment system, 12-inch digital driver display. And dare I say it, we've driven a newer Corsa and a newer Astra. The digital driver display has more information and is actually a sort of selling point of this car, and considering these are used and a little bit older now, absolutely perfect. So I would say the sweet spot is the Titanium X when it comes to value. Okay, let's talk about hard plastic, because a Fiesta, actually, it's got a bit of squidge to it. It's not completely hard plastic. Over here, there's bits of hard plastic, no material to be found. And in terms of, oh, there's a little bit, I do lie, there's a little bit there, a little bit of leather on the door. But we're going to expect that in a Ford Fiesta. What they've done is keep it very, very simple. I like that they've got knobs and buttons as well as my infotainment system. I've got a start-stop function that is really, really easy to use, everything in here, and I think I quite like that, the fact that I got the option of buttons and the infotainment system. The infotainment system itself is really easy to use. It's got the controls clearly marked at the bottom. Very, very simple indeed. You can connect your phone via a wire. We've got USB-C. No, we've got no USB-C. We've got USB ports. It's showing its age a little bit there. We've got 12-volt port there as well. It's a simple navigation's on there, everything you could want on there. And I like the fact that it's got controls. It's not going to set the world alight. It is a little bit, maybe a little bit dated, and it's certainly not the Sync 4 that the Ford Focus gets. But of course, they've got to make the Focus a little bit different to the Fiesta, as it is the bigger brother. On the whole, the interior in this Fiesta is comfortable, simple, and designed with logic, is what I'd say. In terms of storage up front, you've got some bits. You've obviously got a little bit there for your keys, a little cubby hole there. You've got 2 cup holders, which have some clips there to hold it in. You've got the armrest actually has some space in there. Pop your phone, put bottles of water. I'm not going to crawl through this cabin and put a load of stuff because it's actually not got a massive amount. We've got a small door bin down there. We've got a glove box that's actually quite spacious and can fit quite a bit in. Functional is the order of the day when it comes to this Ford Fiesta. I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed. I don't think anyone is going to be like, wow, come look at the inside of my Ford Fiesta. It's somewhere in the middle. Back seats, right, okay, that is my driving position, and I've actually got quite a bit of room. Obviously I can nudge them a little bit forward and have a little bit more, but that is pretty decent. My feet go nicely under the driver's seat, and I've also got a pocket there as well for a bit of storage. I've got a small door bin here that will fit a bottle in, so that is all good. And the good news is the seats are really comfortable. That leather, half Alcantara, half leather, continues into the back, which is really, really nice. And I think 3 across the back will be achievable. Be a little bit of a squeeze because it's a small car, but it is very, very comfortable back here. I'm just trying to look at headroom as well. Not too bad considering I'm 6 foot. And the good news is the roof is, yeah, my head's not touching, and my head's not touching the back of the roof or anything like that. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable in here. Worth mentioning, the ISOFIX points there are clearly marked and accessible. There is no ISOFIX in the front though. I know a lot of newer hatchbacks have given you the option to have your child up front with you and obviously turning the airbag off, but there is no option for that in the Fiesta, but clearly marked here. And yeah, fairly accessible there. There is no zips or clips getting in the way, so that is good news. I do not have an armrest or cup holder in the middle. I do not have the option for that. I know a lot of hatchbacks are starting to do that now. I'd like it, but I'm not too fussed about it. Worth mentioning, if you're a passenger in the back, you do not have any charging points. I know, maybe is that coming into play with modern cars, possibly. You get some weird little cubby hole here. I don't know what it does. I thought it was going to be vents, but there are no rear vents here, and I don't know what that's going to hold. It almost reminds me of an old ashtray. We don't have them anymore. Okay, the drive of the Ford Fiesta. Now, I'd be lying to say this was the first time driving a Ford Fiesta. I have driven one before, and the reason I'm so eager to get in and drive it is because this is where the Fiesta comes into its own. It is, I think, by far the most fun Super Mini out there to drive, and still cannot be rivaled. Now, first things first, this is a manual. As you can see, I'm changing gear via the stick. You can get automatic as well, and there are some engine options. The entry level starts off with a 1 litre EcoBoost, 99 brake horsepower, 3-cylinder option, obviously a manual as well. Now, This one here, the Titanium X that we've got today, is actually a 1 litre EcoBoost engine with 123 brake horsepower, and it just gives it that little bit more bite off the line, and then when you put your foot down, you don't feel like the rev counter is going to flip off over there into that hedge. There is an option for 150 brake horsepower as well when it comes to an ST line option as well. So do consider the options when looking for your next car. Get down to Vertu and make sure you've got the best one for you. Now let's talk about this mild hybrid stuff that you want to know about, because it has got EcoBoost hybrid on the back of here. So you may be tricked into thinking this is a fully fledged hybrid. It is not. This is a mild hybrid, which basically means it will assist you with the start-stop function. It will give you a little bit more charge when you're decelerating, and then give you that little bit more power when you're accelerating. Start-stop is where it helps you. So the mild hybrids are where the more power lies. You get the 123 brake horsepower and 150 brake horsepower in mild hybrid, but the petrol option is the 99 brake horsepower 3-cylinder option that I mentioned to you. And in terms of performance, I could not be happier. The steering is super sharp. It's really, really responsive when you're going around a country road and in and around town. As it's such a small Super Mini, the turning circle is fantastic. You're not going to have a problem with that. But where this actually slips into a little bit of a fun Super Mini is on a country road or a B road, because you're able to sort of maneuver the car in such a nice way. And because you've got that extra little bit of power with the 123 brake horsepower, you're never left wanting more in terms of speed. So it is such a good car to handle a UK B road. Also worth mentioning, if you're wanting even more fun, the ST line that I mentioned gives you a little bit more power, but it gives you a slightly stiffer suspension, and it's got a 7-speed automatic gearbox for you as well. That is super slick, very little turbo lag, and excellent when it comes to responding. So that is going to be even more fun than even possibly this as well, and it will turn some heads along the way. But the Fiesta does not disappoint when it comes to the handling, and I think, dare I say it, it's a lot smoother than the Vauxhall Corsa that we drove the other week. There's a little bit more jerky when it comes to lower speeds than this particular model, and this is a manual as well, so obviously I'm a little bit more in control. And there are lots of people that have reviewed this lovely little Super Mini in terms of the Fiesta and suggest that the manual is actually the way to go, because you can have that little bit more fun in and around a UK country road. Personally, I'm lazy. I like an automatic, but I do see what they're saying. It does keep you engaged with the drive, and when you've got something that just feels like a little go-kart to handle, I genuinely think it makes the journey to the shops that little bit more exciting. And those people shout at me saying, stop saying how much fun it is, what's the economy like? Well, the mild hybrid system, I've said, is not a fully fledged hybrid, and you've also got the petrol option. Well, don't worry, you'll still get you 50 miles per gallon, which again is going to be better than most of its competitors. So we're ticking a lot of boxes with the drive of the Ford Fiesta. Let's talk about the speed of this thing, because I've talked about the miles per gallon and the handling, etc. Now, the speed of the 123 brake horsepower that we've got here will get you to 60 miles per hour in around about 11.5 seconds, something like that. So not exactly groundbreaking. However, an ST will get you around about 6.5 seconds. So the ST line is going to be somewhere in the middle. But speed is not exactly what you buy a Titanium X Ford Fiesta for. However, the handling and actually the comfort of these seats and everything like that is exactly why you buy it. And I think simple in terms of design, but in terms of performance, it's right up there. Right, reverse camera time. Now, the Ford Fiesta, flip it down into reverse, and I do have a reverse camera. And I do have rear sensors on this thing as well. Now, the reverse camera isn't the most HD thing I've ever seen. However, it is functional. It fills up the entire screen. And when kept clean, it is fine. We expect more from our reverse cameras now. We expect better quality than we do our TVs. It's absolutely fine. It does the trick. But yeah, I'm guessing we've seen more HD cameras than that. But am I complaining? No, because I love a Fiesta. Ford Fiesta, done. Now, is the Fiesta still at the forefront of your minds when it comes to super minis in today's day and age? Well, I would say yes, it should be, because of the drive of it. It is fantastic to drive, so much fun, and I think cannot be rivaled in my opinion. However, the Vauxhall Corsa, the Yaris, I've mentioned them. They have fully electric versions and hybrid versions, and they look a little bit more modern because they don't make these anymore. But the Fiesta is still going to be very, very popular because of that unrivaled drive. So expect to see a lot of them going forward. And get in touch with Vertu, because if the Fiesta's a car for you, they have plenty of great value used cars with low mileage. We will see you very, very soon for the next car.